Genotypes are genetic material that are transmitted from parents down to their offspring or their child. And these genetic materials are always transmitted in copies. This means that the parents give a copy of their genetic material to their offspring. The father gives a copy, the mother gives a copy. We shall be looking at the most occurring type of genotypes, which are the AA genotype, the SS genotype, and the AS genotype. This video is for you, our subscriber, and I hope you find it helpful as usual. This is a response to your question to make a video on genotype. If you are just joining us on Body Gist, I am Sister Ozo Augusta. I am a sister of St. Lee, and I'm also a nurse and a midwife. This is me saying thank you to all our returning subscribers. For those of you just joining us, ensure you click on the subscribe button, turn on your notification so that you do not get missed out anytime we upload new videos. You can as well follow us on all our other platforms. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Do not go away. Watch this video to the end because it promises to be very interesting. We'll be right back. Mainly, we have two types of chromosomes. We have the sex chromosome and the non-sex chromosome. The sex chromosome is the one that determines our sex. That is, either we are a male or a female. While the non-sex chromosome determines every other thing about us. Now, it is the non-sex chromosome that carries this genotype. So that is why we say that whether we are having the normal type of gene, which is the AA, or we are a carrier, which is the AS, or we have the sickled type of gene, which is the SS, it is not determined by our sex. It does not determine whether we are a male or a female. Now, let us look at the different types of genotype. Let's begin with the genotype AA. An individual with genotype AA means that the individual has two copies of normal genes. These normal genes are free from abnormal mutation. And the two copies of these genes, they support the presence of protein and hemoglobin that are present in the red cells. This hemoglobin helps to carry oxygen that individual needs for survival. That is why the individual with the genotype AA as regarded as persons, so to say in quotes, who are stronger, they have stronger type of genotype than other types because they have the two copies of their gene are the normal type of gene, and that it supports protein and hemoglobin. Of course, I've said it before that hemoglobin is needed for transport of oxygen needed by the body for survival. Now let us look at the AS genotype. Individuals with AS genotype are known as trait carriers or carriers of a muted gene. Why? Remember that I said that genotypes are transmitted in copies. Individual with AS genotype has two copies, but one copy is the normal gene, which is the A. The second copy, which is the S, is the abnormal type of gene. So they are not having the disease, which is the sickle cell disease, but they are carriers of the sickle cell disease because they have one copy of the normal gene and one copy of the abnormal gene. Remember, we have said that the normal gene, which is the A type of gene, it supports the presence of protein and also supports hemoglobin, which helps in transporting oxygen around the body for survival. Then it also has this other type, the sickle type of gene, which does not support the presence of hemoglobin in the red cells. Now, let us look at the individual with the SS type of genotype. An individual with SS type of genotype means that that individual has two copies of gene that are sickled or that are abnormal. This type of gene does not support the concentration of oxygen. It makes the passage of cells within the blood vessel to be difficult. That is why the individual who has the SS type of gene or genotype suffers several types of diseases because there is a decrease in the oxygen concentration in the red cells of that individual, and that is why they come down with so many type of disease. You see an individual who has the SS type of gene frequently having anemia. Sometimes they have crisis and they have pain, and sometimes it could go ahead to affect the liver, which is one of the organs that helps in production of red blood cells, causing enlargement of the liver, which we call hepatomegaly. Let us not forget that the individual with the genotype AA has 2 copies of a normal gene. The individual with the genotype AS has 1 copy of a normal gene and 1 copy of a sickled gene, while individual with SS genotype has 2 copies of a sickled gene. This predisposes them to constantly having sickle cell crisis, and it can also be life-threatening. It also prevents people with this type of genotype from living normal life. Now we have been enlightened about the different types of genotype and how an individual can be able to get this type of genotype. That means that each copy of this gene was gotten from their parents, either from the father or the mother. If both parents gives a copy of the gene. So if an individual has AA genotype, it means that the first A was gotten from the first parent, maybe the father, and the other A was gotten from the mother. An individual with AS genotype gets a copy of A from one of the parents and the S from another parent, while the individual with SS genotype gets the 2 copies. That is the first S copy and the second S copy from both parents. I hope we have been enlightened. Thanks for watching this video to the end, and thanks all of you who always follow us on Body Gist. I still remain Sister Ozo Augusta. Keep following us on Body Gist while we keep giving you healthy gists.